see that the market breadth has made a stronger comeback as opposed to the benchmark Nifty, which is still hovering around 15,740. 112 FNO stocks standing to the advances, so that one would say is a good start. Nikunj?
Pratik Agarwal joins us. Let's take the conversation forward. Pratik, good morning. Thank you for joining us. What is your market view? Do you think markets are now reaching that zone of complacency, or there is a fundamental tailwind which is driving the market? Because frankly, this market has not reacted to the medical crisis. This market is not reacting to what is happening to inflation, and this market is ignoring the uptick which has happened in commodity prices.
Yeah. So I think we need to realize a few things, understand a few things. One, this time around when the COVID crisis hit, it was very intense, but it was short. And at the beginning itself, people knew that would be the pattern, and IIT Kanpur modeling predicted that quite early in the day. Now, if in the life of a typical company you take out even 1 quarter of cash flows full, the damage to valuation, the damage to value, which is the stock price, is 1 to 2%. Put 0 to 2%. The higher staples, etc., won't even experience that. Versus that, if you look at lower interest rate kind of a situation that we are in, a percent drop in interest rate takes the value up by 20%. So take that, take a 22% increase in 21 EPS over 20, and my sense is markets still have some room to go up, and given the tailwinds, we are positive now. The problems are receding. The next problem of interest rate increases, lower liquidity are few months away. Lower liquidity itself is few months away. Interest rate increases are at least a year away. So that is the sense. The other thing, inflation, my sense is the world will tolerate inflation this time around. Every country of the world is stressed in terms of government finances. Inflation helps, blow out that problem. So, whatever may be said, people will want to do things later than otherwise. So that needs to be recognized as well. As we speak, the inflation, the base is not very favorable on a global basis. The base starts to get more favorable as we go forward. The real uptick in inflation starts to hit after we go beyond October. So my sense is this is a buy on dip market. Dips would be shallow. 4 to 5% dips are a great dip to buy into.
Historically, you've not bought metal stocks, but there is a different trend at play. These conditions for these demand dynamic conditions where supply is 2 years away, demand is very strong, they've not existed in the past 10-15 years. Are you relooking at metal stocks, because metals is where all the action and excitement is?
We have put out our deliverable to our clients, which is preservation of capital and growth of capital, and towards that we invest in businesses which can make good returns on their business on a very sustained basis. So look at an ROC as a parameter to judge that, and the ability to pass on input price changes over a period of a quarter or two, and continue to grow strongly over a long term, 3 to 5 years. Metals don't qualify in this situation. The growth, the organic growth is just about the growth of the economy itself, and more determined, the earnings are more determined by prices, which can be very fickle, rather than the organic growth in volumes. So it's very difficult for us to go that path unless it's a converter kind of a company. But then for a very long time we have stayed away. Now, maybe that pack is already at the peak end of its sustainable valuations. A easy liquidity kind of a situation lowers down the price of putting up a capital intensive industry. This is an industry which takes 4 to 5 years to be put up, and in between, if you have interest during construction at 12%, the cost is higher, the replacement cost is higher versus if you get it at 8-9%. So one has to take that into account as well, not look at EPS, look at replacement cost, add 2-3 years of good cash flows to the overall value, and then the upside from these levels is not much to our mind.
Okay. Pratik, let's talk about the broader markets. We've been looking at the kind of momentum building up there, a lot of themes that have emerged, whether it be building materials, let's say, or agri-related. Sugar saw a brief surge. So there have been a lot of these pockets that have started to move higher as investors look for further opportunities. What would you suggest now going forward? How much should one really diversify? Are we heading into a zone where perhaps it's better to be a little bit more constrained or conservative? What would be the strategy you would advise?
So my sense is markets will hold. The narrow markets, the Nifty kind of an index, my sense is the breadth of the market will continue to be good. There is a lot of positive policy tailwinds. Import duties are being increased wherever there is damage to Indian manufacturing. PLI schemes are being rolled out. You spoke about sugar, so ethanol policy is great. It gives them 3 years of great visibility of revenue profit growth with good ROCs. And it continues. What happened to, let's say, microfinance some time back, where the cap on lending is being discussed to be removed, is again a good positive thing to have. It probably would increase the ROE of a business by a tad. So I think we are looking at very positive policy making. If you look at the results, the broad market results are better than the narrow market results, and that my senses would continue for some time, and hence the breadth of the market should be expected to remain good. If you want sectors, I think pharmaceuticals, export oriented and domestic should continue to do well. They have been consolidating for some time. Maybe their turn would come now. And the other space is financials. In India, financials have been hit with, various things apart from the business downtake because of COVID. Globally, we have seen financials come back very strongly as the economy opened up. India has behaved a tad differently, which kind of leaves considerable amount of upside to this space.
Okay. Let's talk about that some more as well when it comes to the financials. How would you slice and dice that pie? Where are you seeing, more opportunity? Would it be, for instance, in the larger private names, NBFCs, the smaller names, PSUs? Are they factoring on your radar?
Yeah, so to give you the overall architecture that is there in my mind, one, you should look at businesses which do non-standard lending. If you want a lending business and do it very well, so SME and smaller, the larger ticket you do, the more standard lending you do, the automation will probably take away margin sooner than later. If you do easy lending, to pipelines, to transmission lines, roads, etc., all of that will be invited, or there would be REITs. So for a large corporate kind of lender, there are challenges. The part of the book which gives steadiness to the overall book, the rental kind of businesses would be invited, or a REIT would happen. which means you would be left with more risky, more volatile earning stream kind of businesses as your exposure. So the idea is to be not there as an investor, and they will continue to face competition from even the tech companies. SME and smaller is where one should be focused on. Yes, in the current period, SME and smaller is where there may be some stress on COVID. My sense is it will be temporary. People will pay back when their incomes are restored. Their incomes would be restored over the next 3 to 6 months, is my sense, as the economy comes back. So, if you look at the projections, FY21 Indian economy would be 1% or 2 higher than pre-COVID, which then means anybody or that set or a slightly different set of people who were employed then, more of them would be employed now, and people who have lent to such a section would probably get the monies back. So it may be timing mismatch. You may have an NPA, but a lot of it would come back. It won't be loan losses. I think that is the part of the market to be focused on. The other easy way of doing it is look at banks who have all of these fee-based subsidiaries, mutual funds, life insurance, general insurance, credit card, etc. Because lot of the value over time goes to these businesses, and a pure lender hence will find it increasingly difficult to compete in the marketplace with a lender who has all of these businesses as its subsidiaries. Coming down to NBFCs, we like that space. It's a sea change from ILFS days. There has been consolidation. It has benefited the better quality businesses, and availability of money is very good. So lending may have been a bit of a problem. Everybody is conservative in these difficult times, but overall the construct is very good. So for once again, NBFC is focused on SME and retail. I think one should keep the focus there.
Sure. Pratik, what happens to the traditional favorites, the ITs and pharmas? Because, while the rupee weakness continues to favor IT, recently with the US FDA clampdown and a warning coming in for Lupin on their Somerset facility is making everyone think that after almost a hiatus of a year and a half, US FDA seems to be getting back on action. And again, that overhang of, the regulator is going to continue to play large on pharmaceuticals, not denying the inherent strength and the growth visibility in the sector. But how is it that you would approach both IT and pharma now, the traditional defensives?
Yeah, both of them would have good periods in terms of earnings going forward. Maybe 22 over 21, both of these spaces will provide a lower delta versus other spaces. Because these spaces were more normal versus others. In fact, they may be better than usual in the financial 21 kind of a period. But barring that, if you are looking at continued business, if in let's say financial 24, would they be better than a pre-COVID kind of a scenario? The answer is yes. So this is one fact where valuations should be higher significantly versus pre-COVID, but maybe the delta that one experiences would be lower, given that they had a good period in the last fiscal. So if you ask us, we are looking at pharmaceuticals. Yes, we have increased our weightage there into chronic therapy focused businesses, and in IT the larger names. Now if you look at the market, unless you go to very small names, the larger names are trading at similar and in some cases maybe lower valuations versus mid caps, and larger names will be able to give you much more steady growth in earnings versus mid caps, who may give you stellar growth in few years but may average out at lower than large cap growth. So, given the valuations, given how various stocks are positioned, we believe the larger cap IT names are where one should be focused on at this point in time. I think the business momentum will continue to be strong in IT as well. What has been the average growth between, let's say, financial 10 and financial 20, the businesses would see a higher growth going forward, by at least 2 to 3%. That on an increased base means a lot. So I think one should stay positive there.
Right. So if someone had to come to you and ask you how is it that one can get rich in the markets at these levels, what would you tell them, Prateek?
Yeah, so the two parts. One, the easy money making bit is over. Now we are on the index looking more at compounding. Second, maybe the broad market will continue to do better than the narrow market, and we'll have an earnings momentum which will support that. So we focused more on the mid and the smaller end of the market. Third, we are faced with a period wherein returns on the other very large asset class debt would be very small. If people are worried about interest rate increases on a 2-3% yield on overseas bond assets, 0.25 increase in interest rates take away return of 1.6%. 0.5% increase in interest rates, takes away 3.25% returns. So what is left? We are talking equities, but for a long-term investor doing an asset allocation and looking at debt, it is going to give you very little returns over next 1 to 2 years. And which then means if you want even double-digit returns, while equity because of its performance may have become heavier in your portfolio, so either you lower down your return expectation, but if you keep the return expectation to anything over double digit, it's a all money is into equity kind of a situation.
All right, Prateek, thanks so much for joining us this morning. Good chatting with you as always. Have a good weekend. Let me also bring you an